of small arms to begin from Monday, 22nd August. Are live on GBC24 and GTV. Good evening and you're welcome. My name is Seyoko Kwakuchre.
And I am Micheline Taka. To help us with the sign language is Robert Frimpong Manzo.
From Monday, 22nd August 2016, all persons who desire to regularize their ownership of small arms can voluntarily register their weapons without fear of being sanctioned. Citizens who are in possession of unregistered weapons can voluntarily register. The exercise will last for 32 days.
Centers for the registration will be announced later. The Ministry of the Interior, in collaboration with the Ghana Police Service and the Small Arms Commission, has introduced the exercise to enhance the management and control of proliferation of weapons into the country.
According to a research commissioned by the National Commission on Small Arms, it is estimated that there are over 1.2 million illicit weapons in civilian hands in this country. Noting also that for several years, the Ghana police have been authorized by law to register weapons that are legally possessed by our citizens. Following an assessment of the situation and based on the advice from the security agencies, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, has directed the Ministry of the Interior, the Ghana Police Service, and the Ghana Small Arms Commission to take steps to enhance the management and control of the proliferation of weapons by instituting a limited weapons amnesty exercise. All citizens who are in possession of weapons that have not been registered with the police have the pleasure to come and register them at the various police centers where weapons are registered. Beyond this date, any person who flouts that regulation or law has a sentence of 10 years imprisonment. Therefore, the ministry calls on all well-meaning Ghanaians and foreign residents in Ghana to help respond to the opportunity provided by this amnesty.
The National Communications Authority (NCA) is collaborating with Google and other institutions to install television-wide spaces (TVWS) systems in parts of the capital. The system is designed to boost internet connectivity.
The television white space TVWS has a broadband which can travel up to 10 kilometers through vegetation, buildings and other obstacles. The forum afforded stakeholders the opportunity to share ideas on the components of the proposed framework, which seeks to improve the communication experience of Ghanaians. The Director General of the National Communications Authority, Mr. William Tevi, noted that television-wide space systems can be used as an extension of fixed-line broadband to reach places that are not connected via cable.
TV white space is also capable of connecting things. This technology can make connecting to home or work from another remote area a reality by offering a broadband signal capable of handling multiple devices as well as reporting large amounts of data across long distances.
The NCA believes that with the emergence of television's white space issues, access to internet connectivity in some parts of the country will be a thing of the past.
It is announced for the information of the general public that any gaming owner or occupier of a house, room or place who, without the approval of the Gaming Commission, permits the facility to be used as a commercial bet commits an offense and is liable on summation conviction to a fine of not more than 500 penalty unit, or imprisonment for a term of not more than 2 years, or both. Section 36, Article 2 of the Gaming Act 2006, Act 721 is clear on the said offence. The Gaming Commission is therefore strongly warning that anyone caught in violation of his section of the Act shall be prosecuted according to the law, and this law pertains to any facility, including video games houses, that are unregulated by the Gaming Commission. The Gaming Commission is mandated by the Gaming Act 2006 Act 721 to regulate, control, monitor and supervise the operation of games of chance in the country. Such games of chance include casinos, sports betting, route operation, raffle, TV reality show, quiz competition, brain teasers, dance competition, beauty contest and marathon race. The general public is kindly encouraged to report any violation to the Commission on the following numbers: 0205 2003 or 0244 526271 or 071 311 041.
The Ministry of Health has announced plans to expand radiography training. In line with this, the ministry hopes to invite private sector participation to be able to meet the demand for professional radiographers. This came up at the scientific conference of the Ghana Society of Radiographers in Tamale.
National Conference of the Ghana Geographical Association (GGA) provided a platform for awareness creation and idea sharing on the responsibilities of stakeholders, especially geographers, in attaining the SDGs. The president of the association, Professor Martin Oting, said, "Understanding population characteristics of any nation is critical in finding solutions to the needs of the people." The Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University for Development Studies, UDS, Professor Saidu Al-Hassan, in an interview said, "The SDGs provide an opportunity for stakeholders to work towards achieving a better standard of living for every citizen." He said, "Geographers have a critical role to play in transforming the nation."
Apart from carrying out scientific research as a geographer, the geographer also has the responsibility to ensure that the citizenry of this country even understand, they get to know what these SDGs contain and how we can use them.
The Director of Lands and Environment at the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA, Dr. Abiri Inga, reiterated the authority's commitment to sustainable development of the SADA zone.
SADA is working with several organizations, including the Ghana Geographical Association, to see how, at our local level, at the sub-regional level, how these SDGs can be targeted. We may not be able to deal with all the SDGs as a goal. So it means that we must look at every district, every region, the SADA zone, which level that each district or region has reached, which areas are there deficiencies, and which are the goals to target and to plan for.
Africa Pay, a gathering of heads of youth ministries and managers of the Duke of Edinburgh Awards from across Africa, is underway in Accra. For the next 3 days, participants will develop a roadmap to advance the cause of youth development on the continent.
Edinburgh Awards was introduced in the United Kingdom 60 years ago. Years down the line, the awards was extended to other continents, including Africa. The platform offers young people between the ages of 14 and 24 a rare opportunity to unearth talents and develop their leadership potential by engaging in social services, skills development, extracurricular activities, among others. The number of award recipients across the globe has increased from 500,000 a year to 750,000. Despite being the world's leading youth achievement awards, Patrons and managers are unhappy with unfavorable structures denying the youth their rightful place in the world, hence the African agenda.
And I have talked to them about their aspirations and their ambitions. And they tell me that they want the world to be a different place from the world that they are currently inheriting. They want an education and need an education that takes them not just through great academic learning, but also gives them real skills, real behaviors that are able to equip them for life.
The Deputy Greater Accra Regional Minister Nijangba Vanderpoy, who launched the project, was critical of the educational systems which give little room for hands-on training and critical thinking.
It is also true that in most parts of Africa, quite a number of our young graduates lack the required skills and competencies to survive in the corporate world. This means that our educational systems should be tailored in the way that will prepare our young people adequately for work.
Other speakers raised concerns about the current crop of youth in Africa who they believe lack the needed capacity to play leadership roles in the future. They called for revised and implementable programs to better equip the youth for leadership positions.
Geographers have met in Tamale to find ways of realizing the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). The SDGs are a set of goals with 169 targets spearheaded by the United Nations. The Ghana Geographical Association says it will use its knowledge and skills to achieve the goals.
The National Conference of the Ghana Geographical Association (GGA) provided a platform for awareness creation and idea sharing on the responsibilities of stakeholders, especially geographers, in attaining the SDGs. The president of the association, Professor Martin Oting, said, "Understanding population characteristics of any nation is critical in finding solutions to the needs of the people." The Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University for Development Studies, UDS, Professor Saidu Al-Hassan, in an interview said, the SDGs provide an opportunity for stakeholders to work towards achieving a better standard of living for every citizen. He said, geographers have a critical role to play in transforming the nation.
Apart from carrying out scientific research as a geographer, the geographer also has the responsibility to ensure that the citizenry of this country even understand, they get to know what these SDGs contain and how we can use them.
The Director of Lands and Environment at the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA, Dr. Abiri Inga, reiterated the authority's commitment to sustainable development of the SADA zone.
SADA is working with several organizations, including the Ghana Geographical Association, to see how, at our local level, at the sub-regional level, how these SDGs can be targeted. We may not be able to deal with all the SDGs as a goal. So it means that we must look at every district, every region, the SADA zone, which level that each district or region has reached, which areas are there deficiencies, and which are the goals to target and to plan for.
You are watching the business news, and my name is Esther Edu Ohumeu. The Chief Executive of Ghana Cocoa Board, Dr. Stephen Opuni, has cautioned contractors working on the Cocoa Roads Rehabilitation Project to speed up work on their respective projects or have their contracts terminated. He said such roads are critical to the socio-economic development of cocoa growing communities and therefore should be executed without delay.
The Ghana Cocoa Board, in collaboration with government, rolled out the Cocoa Roads Rehabilitation Program, to facilitate transportation of cocoa beans to market centers. Messrs. Usuya Ghana Limited and Fakol Limited are among the local contractors selected by the Ghana Cocoa Board to undertake various construction works on major cocoa roads in the Ashanti, Eastern, Western and Bunahafu regions. Messrs. Usuya Ghana Limited is undertaking the partial reconstruction of the Obuasi Junction Dumkwao Ayamfuri Road, while Messrs. Fakol Limited is to upgrade the Dumkwao Ayamfuri. A visit by the Minister for Roads and Highways, Alhaji Inusa Fusheni, and Ghana Cocoa Board's Chief Executive, Dr. Stephen Opuni, revealed that Messrs. Usuya has completed 48% of the project. Messrs. Fakol Limited had also undertaken only 10% of construction works instead of 30%. The Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Dr. Stephen Opuni, was not happy with the extent of work executed by both contractors and warned that Cocoa Board would not countenance delays from contractors working under the Cocoa Roads Rehabilitation Project.
We've already given you 2 warning letters. I'm told you are one of the best contractors in the country. If I see where you've already applied the bitumen, it's excellent. But the fact that you have delayed unduly, we're going to give you the 3rd and final warning letter that we're going to write it tomorrow. If you don't make up for the 30% deficit within a month, I'll proceed to terminate the contract.
The Roads and Highways Minister Alhaji Inusa Fusheni explained that the inspection tour is part of his ministry's plan to keep contractors on their toes.
Understand us that this is a very important exercise that we are undertaking. One, why will anybody go after Ghanaian contractors? This is your country. If you invest in the road network, you are investing in yourself. Because one day you will use this road. Your family will use this road. The country will benefit. So that is why it's not only the benefits that you'll get by payment, but the benefit you confer on this country by reason of doing the road well.
In Accra, officers of the Ghana Revenue Authority have been trained on rules of origin, a criteria needed to determine the economic nationality of products and also eliminate unfair competition. The training forms part of the Trade-Related Assistance and Quality Enabling Program track. Since the Cotonou Agreement, Ghanaian exporters have been benefiting from preferential access to countries when using the rules of origin to trade. However, studies conducted by the Ministry of Trade indicates that there is a general lack of knowledge on the use and implementation of the EU rules of origin by some government officials and the private sector operators. At the training of customs officials in Accra, a representative of the Tariff Advisory Board, Mr. Martin Wild, advised Ghana to correctly implement the rules of origin, especially after the country has ratified the Economic Partnership Agreement.
In Ghana, we can use EU rules of origin, and the preferential agreements that allow people to export products, from Ghana to the European Union with no duty or taxes, export duty or taxes involved. With the ratification of the EU Economic Partnership Agreement, it will only benefit Ghana and promote better use of the rules of origin, and this is something that is very, very positive.
The Chief Director at the Ministry of Trade and Industry said the rules of origin will increase Ghana's competitiveness on the world market.
These policy agendas aim at increasing Ghana's competitiveness in the international and domestic markets and also improve the legal and regulatory environment for businesses as well as consumers.
A Chief Revenue Officer of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Labujata Hamidu, said although Ghana experienced discrepancies in the origin of some products, this has been corrected with the proper implementation of the rules of origin. The dollar is still hovering around 3 cedis 93 pesos. Let's have the interbank rates. And now to the Commodity Board. And now to some insurance news brought to you by SIC Life. In Europe, some diseases such as cancers may no longer be barriers for life insurance policies. The change in trend has been associated with improvements in healthcare, coupled with possibilities of an earlier diagnosis and more treatment options.
Good evening. You are still watching News Hour live here on GBC24 and GTV. This is the health segment brought to you by FPAC, Blows Your Pain Away. My name is Evans Echampon. Now to our stories. The Ministry of Health has announced plans to expand radiography training. In line with this, the ministry hopes to invite private sector participation to be able to meet the demand for professional radiographers. This came up at the scientific conference of the Ghana Society of Radiographers in Tamale.
Umbrella body of all certified medical imaging and radiation therapy professionals in Ghana, the 5th Biennial National Congress and Scientific Conference of the Ghana Society of Radiographers offered members the opportunity to adopt the reviewed constitution of the society and discuss pertinent issues affecting their profession. It was also to induct new executives, both national and regional, to steer the affairs of the society for the next 2 years. The president of the Ghana Society of Radiographers, Reverend James Ampofu, said with the emergence of technology, members of the society are also upgrading themselves to meet the standard.
As technology increases, there is the need to have radiographers who have received the requisite knowledge, skills, and professional training to meet the challenge. Postgraduate specialist training for radiographers is the trend. Such programs abound, and for the short to medium term, radiographers can be sponsored and offered scholarship by the government and other stakeholders to pursue such programs.
The theme for the Congress was Trends to Technological Advancement in Medical Imaging and Radiation Therapy in the Past Decade.
Segment Medical Preparedness for National Emergencies was the focus of this year's annual lecture of the Ghana Medical Association at Sunyani in the Bono Ahafo region. A former Vice Chancellor of the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Professor Esi Ewua, called for a regular review of the country's emergency preparedness to respond to cases.
The 16th annual lecture of the Ghana Medical Association brought together representatives of government agencies, institutions and organizations. The president of the association, DCOP Dr. Ebenezer Ewuzi Inim, says the theme for this year's lectures, which focuses on medical preparedness for national emergencies, seeks to emphasize the need for a sustainable program to effectively manage emergencies. The outgoing Vice Chancellor of the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Professor Mrs. Esi Ewua, mentioned lack of proper planning as one of the factors that hinder swift emergency response.
Preparedness is to be seen as a function of the number of medical personnel, their level of training, the presence of a contingency plan, adequate logistics, infrastructure availability, and the type of emergency and the magnitude of the emergency.
Speakers at the forum encouraged members of the association to monitor and evaluate their preparedness before and after any disaster.
Update from the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The Greater Accra Rugby Association Garas elected Abdulaziz Issa as their new president. He is expected to lead a 7-member delegation to steer the affairs of the association for the next 4 years. Okay, moving on, some selected youth from the Greater Accra region have benefited from a 2-day clinic by the Giants of Africa in collaboration with the Toronto Raptors. This forms part of efforts to develop the game of basketball across the African continent.
The program, which seeks to help propagate the game of basketball in Africa, is held every summer with top-notch international coaches brought to the continent to hold basketball camps. These camps are designed to help young African players develop athletically, discover life goals, and sharpen their knowledge on the game. This year's clinic was held at the Lincoln Community School and saw more than 100 budding young players participate in the game. Coaches were on hand to run participants through various fitness drills. These were followed by a series of lectures on the basics of the game, including shooting the ball and executing a proper crossover. The director of Global Scouting for Toronto Raptors and one of the front runners of the initiative, Patrick Engelbert, spoke to GBC24.
Africa, for me, is the largest reservoir of basketball talent on the planet. So as we teach our younger players the proper fundamentals, we're going to have talent that the world can't imagine.
The Giants of Africa initiative seeks to make a difference for kids in Africa using basketball as a tool. The camp train will now cross borders to Nigeria and finally draw its curtains on the 29th of August in Botswana.
Back to earlier story, the Greater Accra Rugby Association Gara has elected Abdulaziz Issa as their new president. He is expected to lead a 7-member team to steer the affairs of the association for the next 4 years. The Greater Accra Rugby Association on Tuesday, August 16th, organized an emergency congress at the Media Center of the Accra Sports Stadium. It was to elect new leaders to manage its affairs for the next 4 years. In attendance was the Greater Accra Regional Director of Sports, Jeffrey Owusu, the President of the Central and Western Region Rugby Association, James Nunu, and the General Secretary of St. West, Bismarck Amponsan. The occasion was used to adopt a new constitution for the regional association. The chairman for the occasion, Mr. James Nunu, after dissolving the old board, spelled out the rules for voting and introduced the candidates vying for the positions of the President, Vice, General Secretary, Technical Director, Treasurer, Public Relations Officer, and 2 executive members. With all positions except the President going unopposed, all eyes were on the 2 candidates vying for the presidency, Abdul Samad and Abdulaziz Issa. After counting, Samad pulled 4 votes with Aziz. Samad pulled 4 votes with Abdulaziz Issa pulling 9 votes. There was also a yes and no vote for the other individuals vying for the various offices. The Greater Accra Regional Director of Sports, Jeffrey Owusu, administered the oath of office. The chairman of GARA, Abdulaziz Issa, in his acceptance speech, said his team will not disappoint.
There are 3 areas that we have to address. We have to aggressively seek sponsorship and other solutions. The development of schools and female rugby should also be given special attention. Club and player welfare in association with group up. We are all aware that without funding, nothing really works. Amen. I am quickly going to establish a task force to help in our fundraising activities. To this end, I am making a percentage of 5,000 cedis to be lodged into the Ghana account.
The Greater Accra Regional Director of Sports, Jeffrey Owusu, urged the new leaders to be transparent.
It has to also be forewarned that you have to use this as an example for you to note that emergency congresses can be called. So it's not a matter of words, it's a matter of deed. You have to report your activities to us every time. It's important so that we will know exactly how to also collaborate with you. It's important, the two words, collaboration and cooperation.
The following are the executives: President Abdulaziz Issa, Vice President Emmanuel Owusu, General Secretary Gifty Kukwa Agri, Technical Director Amuzulu Abdul Salim, Treasurer Neza El Ashka, PRO Omar Sharif Kaptan, and the two executive members, Michael Ako Wilson and Rafatu Inusa. Chelsea won their first game in the English Premier League under new coach Antonio Conte. They beat London rivals West Ham United by 3-2, which Andre Ayew played a part. Before I check out from the studio, Joao Avalanche, the predecessor to Sepp Blatter, died today at Rio, aged 100 years. So rest in perfect peace. That's all for sports.
It's a wrap on the news for now. Thank you so much for watching.
We come your way again at 10:30 with news tonight. Bye bye. Good evening.